They say that once you enter the Labyrinth of the Demon King, you can't ever leave. In Labyrinth of the Demon King, you must descend into the lair of the eponymous demon to take revenge for your fallen lord. What follows is a waking nightmare, a tour of the Japanese Buddhist hells and the unrelenting torments that lie within. It isn't for the faint of heart. If you enjoy survival horror, Japanese mythology, or just good games, then you must play it. Japanese religion has long been a syncretism of the native Shinto beliefs and foreign Buddhism, perhaps best shown by the Oni, otherwise known as a demon. Originally, the Oni was a mountain bandit monster who fed on human flesh, but with the spread of Buddhist beliefs, the Oni became a denizen of hell, punishing the sinners for countless years to exhaust their negative karma, so they could be reborn. So what does it mean for a demon king to have a labyrinth? In an age where a demon is both a bloodthirsty bandit and a tool of divine punishment, is it even possible to fight such a being? If its mission is divinely sanctioned, everything must end eventually. Pick up your sword, enter the castle, and descend into hell.
The world has entered the latter age of the Dharma. Society is crumbling. War has spread throughout the country. Disease and famine have killed thousands. And demons walk the very earth itself. You are an Ashigami, a foot soldier in the service of Lord Takeda Nobumitsu. Deceived by a powerful demon, your lord led his army into an ambush. All perished, except for you. Against your wishes, your lord sacrificed his life to aid your escape from the battle. You have made a vow to track down the demon who betrayed your lord and end its life. Following rumors of an entrance to the demon's stronghold, you find yourself standing on a lonely road, deep in some long, forgotten forest. You take what could possibly be your final breaths on this mortal plane, and prepare yourself to enter the Labyrinth of the Demon King.
Your only belongings are the armor on your back, a broken katana, some money, and a wooden coin with 3 blue arrows painted on it. Walking down the path in the misty forest, you come to a cave in the cliff face. A torii gate marks that you're about to enter a sacred space. There's noises up ahead. Lit from the torch of the corpse it's eating, you see a nightmarish figure hanging from the roof of the cave above. It spots you, but thankfully decides to leave with its meal. It looked like a Nure Onna, a snake-like yokai that feeds on human flesh. You pick up the torch it dropped and continue downwards into the darkness, trying to ignore the noises. There's an underground river here, and a bucket on a rope stretching up into the light above. It's a well. You must be below the demon's lair now. You climb up. Inside the castle walls, there isn't a soul around. The rain's pouring down and you hurry into a gatehouse. It's empty, apart from a bloodstain on the ground. There's a rusty katana stuck on the wall, and a journal. A starving soldier of this castle was trying to escape, but in his hunger, he didn't have the strength to do so. There is no hope for anyone who reads this, he says. Well then, a rusty katana is better than half of one, so you take it for now. The only sound you hear is the rain as you continue forth. Standing underneath an ancient tree ahead of you is a woman. You startle her. She wasn't expecting to see anyone, let alone a real human here. You tell her your mission. Another one, she says. Many souls venture here for revenge, but none ever return. She can't help you. The consequences would be dire for a servant like her if anyone found out she did, but she does give you a little information. 3 of the towers of the castle are guarded by a warden, and the path to the Demon King is only unlocked once you shoulder their burdens. You press onwards. At the end of a winding path, you find the door to the first tower. The Tower of Repetition. The first thing you see when you enter the tower is a priest walking away from you, behind a door locked with a strange mechanism. The next thing is a twisted human beating another to death. Then it sets its sights on you. You're a skilled warrior, but the horror you've already seen has unnerved you, and it's a tough fight. But soon, your rusty katana slices the thing's head off. You examine the body of the other person it fought, and there's a white gem disc stuck into its head. It looks like it fits into the strange lock on that door. You explore the dark and rotten corridors of this place, defending yourself against the seemingly endless enemies lurking in the darkness. They're not really people, though. Are they twisted by dark magics, or are they already demons? They resemble the Praetor, starving ghosts that live in a hell realm, being eternally tormented, unable to sate their hunger and thirst. You stumble into the kitchens and dispatch a Praetor banging on the pantry door. There's someone trapped behind it, and he tells you to find the key, currently being held by a cat. You find it on the first floor, slicing pieces off a still living Praetor to turn into soup. The cat's surprisingly helpful. Well, for this place. She tells you about the funny lock on the door, that you need to find 4 gemstones that are hidden around the tower. She also has some things for sale, and she'll even give you the key for the pantry, if you get something for her. She wants the statue from the Butsudan. What's a Butsudan, you ask? Well, you should know if you grew up in a good Buddhist household. It's a family shrine to the Buddha. Never mind that you found a note earlier saying you should under no circumstances disrespect the Butsudan. You find the shrine and take the statue. Nothing happens. Well, she trays you for the key and you free the person from the pantry. It's not a person, it's a kappa. You probably should have seen that coming by now. He's a blacksmith, and he'll take a look at your broken katana for you, if you bring him another katana to repair it. Something a little less rusty than the one you have. He's also, apparently in a relationship with the cat. Best not think about that one. You explore the first floor more and find the key to the locked door next to the Butsudan, the only place left to go. The shrine rumbles as you approach. Shadows ooze out of it, and something emerges. It's a Nichibunken. Its eyes swing, loose from their sockets, and it screams in rage. The monster's very presence is rotting away at your soul, and your attacks barely even slow it down. The only consolation is that you're faster than it, but this place is a maze, and before long, you get stuck in a dead end. In its rage, it beats you to death. You awaken at a shrine in the entrance to the tower. The memory of the pain is still fresh in your mind, but you're not physically hurt. You even have all your belongings still. The Demon King's magic must be keeping you alive to prolong his twisted game. You can't count on that happening again though, and regardless, dying still hurts a lot. Better not do it again. You run past the unkillable monster and into the basement. There's 5 massive pillars here, supporting the castle above. When the central pillar was erected, the princess volunteered herself as a human sacrifice to ensure it stood, a practice called Hudepohl. The 4 pillars around it represent the 4 heavenly kings, deities of Buddhism, protecting the princess. You stumble upon the base of the central pillar, deep in a cave, and the princess is still there, holding one of the gems. Not even this supposedly sacred space is safe from the king's games, it seems. Upstairs, you find your first real puzzle. A small square room with 5 still living people bound and hanging, their feet just grazing the platform beneath them, allowing them to still breathe. One of the gems hangs in the center above a pit surrounded by bars, just out of reach. There's a note on the bars, a poem, The King's Court. It tells of 4 people who were brought before the king. A mother whose son had his eyes and tongue ripped out, a farmer she says committed the act, and a young lord the farmer accused. The young lord admits to loving the boy who didn't love him back, and he paid the mother so she would aid him. Well, whoever committed the horrible act, the king didn't care, and sentenced them all to death. Rotating the platforms in the correct order, all those who are hanged jerk up into the air, finally finishing the deed. The gem lowers into the darkness below. Following the path, you find it in a waterlogged room on the level below, which opens up a hidden path to the kitchens. This place is a real maze. You're lost in the winding and dark corridors. You find scrolls from the people who were here before the Demon King came, and some from after. After your lord fell, the Takeda castle was left abandoned for a year. Has it really been so long? The lord is too busy spending time in his chambers with a young boy. The laws and morals of the era didn't prevent such relationships, but his subordinates obviously preferred he spent his time more productively. It seems this place is infested with lesser yokai too, ones that have been twisted by the demon's magic. You don't have to just contend with the praetor, but worse. You stumble upon the cat again. She's staring at a wall scroll and tells you to look closely. Oh, it's a secret passage. The Demon King's magic has twisted and corrupted the castle, and there's plenty of treasure and secrets hidden here, the cat helpfully says. Well, why not? You follow the path into another small box of a room. It seems like a puzzle. There's a lute with no strings in the center, and a person crying in front of it. There's characters on plaques surrounding the lute which read Tokatsu Jigoku, meaning the Buddhist hell of repetition. You can just carefully grab the lute and leave. It's an old mosubiwa, a 4-string lute used by blind Buddhist monks. The lute is a symbol of one of the 4 heavenly kings, Jikokuten. With his music, he converted and protected people. Maybe it's not worth thinking about what a stringless lute represents here, in this apparent hell of repetition. Returning to the 3rd floor, you find a shrine with a table for offerings for this guardian of the East and, naturally, putting the biwa here opens up a secret path. It leads us to the 4th and final floor of the tower. Up a set of stairs, in the darkness, is an ibume. The ibume is normally the ghost of a woman who died shortly before or after childbirth, sometimes with her child. She's so desperate to have someone care for her child that she returns from the dead, but this one has been corrupted. She's fiercely protective and immediately attacks you when she sees you. The horrid creature's filthy claws poison you with every strike. As you keep cutting, it begins to flail, lashing out with its child, but eventually your sword wins out. It falls, dropping its precious package. It's not a child, but a statue, one that looks familiar. Before you can react, a giant rodent rushes out of the darkness and snatches it up, leaving the ibume to die alone. You collect its burden, a wooden coin, similar to the one you already have, but with a red chrysanthemum painted on it. The creature also had a key to the armory behind it, where you find the last gemstone, some other useful loot, and a set of samurai armor. It looks familiar somehow. Now, you have all the gems and you can leave this place. Recalling the position of the pillars in the basement, you align the gems and the door swings open. In the walkway outside, there's a sign, forward to the bathhouse, or you can go to the tea house, the cat merchant mentioned. The cat was relatively trustworthy, and she had some useful items to sell, so you go there first. There isn't a tea house in the courtyard, but you do see a hole dug into the ground. It's just big enough for you to squeeze through. Well, you found the tea house. The cat's even here, behind the counter, and she's ready to sell you all kinds of useful things. The kappa is here too, in an outbuilding. Something's been on your mind since you met the cat. Is she really a nekomata? The nekomata are a malicious cat yokai that have two tails, and they feed on the dead. They're known for having a general dislike of people, transforming themselves to manipulate humans and even eat them, or turn them into ramen, as it were. But there's a variant of the nekomata called the kasha. The kasha has a specific job. It takes sinners down to hell and, interestingly, has a unique connection to the kappa that general nekomata don't have. That might explain our cat's relationship with the blacksmith. Speaking of, he did say he could repair our katana if we brought him something better than a rusty hunk of junk, and it turns out the cat has a fancy katana for sale. You may as well have some tea while you wait for him to finish his work. It doesn't take him long, but the kappa reforged your katana into a brilliant new blade, the chrysanthemum blade, your old sword. Many have felt its sting. The chrysanthemum was the mark of the imperial family, and as such, only samurai of high rank or nobles could wield such a blade. You enter the Tower of Lamentation. Kyokan Jigoku, the Hell of Lamentation, is where murderers, thieves, lechers, and alcoholics are thrown into boiling pots or iron chambers and roasted by demons. It's appropriate for a bathhouse, then. Some of the baths here are in their own rooms. Some are in the massive main room, and every bath is assigned one of a set of colours. Naturally, there are valves that control the flow of water, and you can drain one colour of bath at a time. The main enemies here, apart from the twisted sinners, are the akaname. They're disgusting creatures that live off filth, particularly from bathhouses, and usually run away like cockroaches when bothered. The ones found here, though, are very aggressive and spit filth, thanks to the Demon King's magic. You find a note from somebody researching yokai in this castle, one that suggests there's a new Peppo nearby. It's a massive mound of flesh that feeds off the fat of the dead, and, legends say, if you manage to slay it and eat its body, you'll gain eternal life. But the note says there's no need for that gift in this realm. What could that mean? The pipes require wheels to turn their valves, and you find the first one. It's yellow with the symbol for human carved into it. There's nothing in the yellow baths though, so you go upstairs. It's a filthy, dark nightmare, somehow even more disgusting than the baths below, infested with knife-wielding rat men. You slay an akaname attacking a door in the kitchen and find the servant woman hiding there. She thanks you, and since she also heard you slew the first warden, she wants to help. Maybe you can defeat the Demon King. She gives you a talisman to teleport safely to the tea house and another water wheel, then leaves. The water wheel is brown, with a symbol for Praetor carved on top. The wheels are following the 6 realms: Diva, the realm of the gods; Azura, the demigods; humans; animal, the realm which is the neutral state being driven by instinct; the Praetor realm; and finally, Naraka, hell. The Praetor realm is home to the Praetor, hungry ghosts with large stomachs and tiny mouths, the ones we've seen here. Naraka is where the layers of hell and the sinners therein reside. The Hell of Lamentation, the Hell of Repetition. Are we in the hells right now? Looping around the bathhouse, we find the formal outfit. It feels familiar, like you've worn this before. You work your way through different baths and wheels, eventually getting the wheel for the black baths. It's marked with Naraka, hell. Upstairs is the final bath, the Lord's private bath, that leads to the guardian of this area. You crawl through the disgusting drain pipe and into a room filled with pulsating flesh. A mound of it stands up, the new Peppo. Its foul odour chokes you as it tries to skewer you with its needle-like proboscis. Your blunt weapons just bounce off its skin, but your katana makes short work of the creature. Before long you defeat it, and it explodes into a shower of gore, one final, disgusting insult. You wipe yourself off, take its burden, and head to the next tower. The stench of death almost overwhelms you the moment you step inside. This tower is named for the Hell of Crushing Assembly, where murderers, thieves, and adulterers are assembled together and massacred, pulverized into jelly by two great rocks crushing them. Some are thrown to a forest of trees with razor-sharp leaves, and are compelled to climb up and down the trees by visions of beautiful people. Demons and beasts eat their entrails and pound their souls into mush. This tower seems to be a prison, filled with gaikotsu, the animated bones of the dead. You found a research note about them earlier. There's a lot of gaikotsu here, probably victims of the previous owner, but not victims of the Demon King. Whoever owned this place previously must have been particularly cruel then. A thin path winds its way through the cells, gaikotsu and other things lurking in the darkness, but you make your way to the central room. Immediately upon opening the door, you see a terrifying sight. Webs stretched across the entire room, with what looks like human bodies wrapped up in the silk. Alerted by your presence, the monster in this lair steps out of its hole. It's a Tsukigumo, a giant spider yokai that usually hides in the mountains, who is probably attracted by the mass death in this tower. It attacks with its legs and razor-sharp jaws and almost rips you to shreds, but you just barely prevail. One of the cocoons is still wiggling. You cut it open, and the priest falls out. So that's where he got to. He says that he came to this realm to heal the blight, but his mind is addled by the Demon King's magic, preventing him from doing much. You ask if the Tsukigumo was the tower's warden, but no, it's just some vermin. The real warden is much worse. The original warden of this prison tower, he's since been transformed into a monster. He was cruel before, tormenting the prisoners with strange rituals, but now he roams the halls of this tower, searching for something. With that, the priest gives you some talismans and leaves for the tea house. Well, now you have access to the main stairs, you can explore this place properly. On the next floor, a long smear of blood oozes and drips down to the shaft below. The path it came from opens into a kind of hall, with a raised platform in the middle surrounded by mats. There's an inscription on the post here. This must be the ritual the priest told you about. You explore the halls of this nightmare prison. Corridors filled with the bare bones of prisoners, ghosts of murdered holy men, impossibly large rooms filled with cages stretching into the darkness. You find a journal left by a monk who was imprisoned here. He and many others before him were sent to find out what was wrong with the castle, but the Mad Lord imprisoned him. The Lord had imprisoned at least 100 civilians in the basement of this tower alone. The boy the Lord was enamored with. There were rumours that he was a demon and wanted to make the castle his own. The monk asked whoever finds these notes to bring them to the shogun at Edo, but that doesn't make sense. The shogunate of Edo was established more than a decade after the Takeda clan had fallen. On the top floor of the tower, you find a single room. There's yet another spirit-banishing talisman attached to the wall. Whoever was here wanted to keep the spirits of those mistreated in life at bay. Inside a chest, there is a ritual hammer, used to ring bells. Time to start the ritual. You find and ring the 4 Bonsho bells described in the inscription while avoiding the dead, and return to the central hall. You hear the thumping steps of something coming closer, something you summoned. It's the prison warden, half twisted into an oni, a fate reserved for only the worst of the worst sinners. He slams you with the corpse sack he's dragging, and you barely avoid being skewered with his spear. You hold out just long enough to see him fall to your blade. The third and final barrier between you and the Demon King has fallen. The Hell of Crushing Assembly, the one this tower is named for. In some texts, the sinners are crushed between 2 mountains, and their remains are beaten by Oni, and eaten by creatures. The warden of this tower is an Oni, a yokai who traditionally lived in the mountains, that smashes about a corpse in a sack and was responsible for the mass death of the prisoners. Likewise, the Tsukigumo was a mountain spider yokai that came to feast on the sinners. This place really is the hell of crushing assembly. The bathhouse was the hell of lamentation too. What about the first tower then? The Tower of Repetition. 3 burdens obtained. You head for the 4th tower, but it's blocked by rubble. The only other path leads to a wall scroll and a podium with 4 slots. You slot the 4 wooden coins in and the scroll swings open. You needed 4 burdens to open the path, but you already had the 4th burden. You had this wooden coin from the moment you woke up in the forest outside the castle, but you don't remember where you got it from. The hair stands up on the back of your neck as you enter the final tower, the Tower of No Interval. This hell is reserved for the worst of the worst, killers of holy men, betrayers of every holy law, and the murderers of their own parents. The torments here are so horrible they cannot be written down. It is the deepest hell, so deep it takes thousands of years of falling to reach it. The moment you step inside, the Nichibunken emerges once more from the ground. Your heart pounds as you run past it up the spiral stairs. And you keep running. Running longer than seems possible. Was this a trap? An illusion? The Nichibunken is right on your heels, so you can't stop. After what seems like an eternity, you feel the air shift. You can't hear the pounding feet of your pursuer anymore. A doorway appears. You made it. While you catch your breath, you find a scroll on the table. It describes the hell of repetition. The sinners who have destroyed life in any form are here, and they tear each other apart, gouging eyes, stripping flesh, exposing bone. Then, when they can no longer move, the wardens of this hell, the Oni, beat them with iron rods until they are nothing but mangled flesh. When their vision fades to black, a wind will blow through the realm and a clear voice will cry out, "Revive, revive," and the punishment begins anew. All the rage and bloodshed you've inflicted and had inflicted upon you was punishment for your sins. You have been in hell this entire time, or at least close enough that the Demon King can use its powers. But it's not quite the same. The Demon King seems to make a mockery of the Buddhist hierarchy with his 4 demonic lords under his charge. Or maybe it's threads of divinity woven through the darkness to lead the sinners to redemption by reminding them of the correct path. Every time the divine hierarchy is invoked, it is as a tool to lead you forward, or as a door to be unlocked through proper knowledge. While folklore Oni are terrible warriors, Buddhist Oni are tools for divine punishment for sinners, to exhaust their negative karma so they can be reborn. Which one is the Demon King? Where each tower was filled with the dead or dying, sinners undergoing punishment to cleanse their karma, the final tower only has one. There's lots of people who took life carelessly for the Tower of Repetition, lots of drunks and lechers for the Tower of Lamentation, even plenty of murderers and adulterers for the Tower of Crushing Assembly, but only one for the Tower of No Interval. You, when you were on Earth, you committed a sin so great that no other hell was worthy of you. Did you murder your own parents? Break every Buddhist precept? Or was it the monks you had sent to their deaths in the prison? Readying yourself, you walk up the stairs and enter the Demon King's chamber. He stands on a stage, waiting for you. It's a no theatre stage, a style of theatre that emphasises repetition of past actions, to wear masks that invoke certain spirits. This stage play, who is it for?
Oh, you made it here. It's been a long time since anyone has. There was once a time where many a mortal would stand where you are now. But now, well, few will ever find their way here. Not in this age, anyway. Now you stand before me. What will you do, little pup? You still carry that blade, the other half still embedded in your master. Do you hope to cut me down with it a second time? Or do you wish to submit and offer your body to me? No. You seek violence. I can see it in your eyes. Well, I think we've spoken enough. Let us begin.
The Demon King makes it clear you aren't an Ashigaru at all. You are the fourth warden of this castle, one who raised his sword against the Demon King. You are the lord of this castle. Your tormentor raises his metal rod and attacks. There's a brief clash in the inky black room, your sword against his spear, the smell of his magic fire burning your clothes, your blood spraying you. You're overwhelmed. His aggression and magic are too much for you, and you fall. As your vision fades, a wind blows through the room, and a clear voice calls out. You awaken just outside the room, your wounds healed. Death is too easy for you. Steeling yourself, you enter the room again.
Oh, you've returned. Well, it's your decision.
He recognizes that you've been here before. Just how many times has this scene played out? You can learn from your past mistakes though. Your sword against his spear, the scorching fire, your blood. But then, with a clean slash, his head goes flying. The head rolls across the pitch-black floor, then suddenly stops, transforming into a gaping maw and consuming you. You awaken in an underground cave, the sound of rushing water nearby. You follow the cool water of the stream into the light and... wake up. Just what happened in the castle of the Demon King? It's a world of illusions, demons, and ghosts. Everybody wears masks, and everything is twisted. The things we are explicitly told may not be true, so let's try to figure out what we can, and we'll start with a timeline of events. Historically, the Takeda clan we are supposedly a soldier of was greatly weakened, almost wiped out, in 1582. The Ashigaru armor uses the actual sigil of the Takeda clan as well as mentions them by name, but the lord, Takeda Nobumitsu, wasn't a real person in history at that time. The actual Takeda clan's power was broken in a betrayal, but not one that led to an ambush, and they didn't get entirely wiped out like it seems in the game. The other major event that may be first was the strange boy coming to the unnamed lord's court. We don't know precisely when this happened, but the captain's log says that a year after the Takeda clan fell, they still hadn't claimed their empty castle because their lord was too busy renovating and spending time with the boy. It doesn't matter specifically when the boy joined the court, just that he had been there for some time. Additionally, the story of the Takeda clan being betrayed by a demon may be true or false, but as we'll soon see, it doesn't really change much if it is. After this, the lord of the castle is slowly corrupted by the boy, who apparently wants to take over the castle. The monk's notes say that the lord is imprisoning hundreds of people, and the prison warden is performing strange and murderous rituals to torment them. They are even imprisoning and murdering monks, one of the cardinal sins of Buddhism. The monk's notes mention that he was sent by the shogun of Edo. The Tokugawa clan, who were the enemies of the Takeda clan, established the shogunate almost 20 years after the fall of the Takeda. This doesn't match up with what we're told in the opening, does it? Why would a soldier sworn to avenge his fallen lord wait decades to try, and, if so, not even mention the time gap? It's simple. We're not a soldier of the Takeda clan at all. The opening explicitly says you are, but Those lines aren't being spoken to you, the player, but the character you're playing as. It's introducing them to the role they're about to play. Someone is setting the stage for their performance. There is a style of classical Japanese theatre called No. It is a slow, methodical theatre with a heavy emphasis on repetition. Innovation is frowned upon, and one is expected to perform the plays in an identical manner to how they were performed in the past. It's an eternal loop through history. The stage of No theatre is unique too. The Demon King's arena is literally one of these No stages, as a final, obvious clue to the nature of the story. It features a main stage designed to be similar to Shinto shrine pavilions, and a special bridge from which the actors enter the stage. This bridge symbolises how spirits interact with the performers on stage, representing an actual connection between the spirit and ordinary worlds. The lead actor, and sometimes others, wear special masks that represent certain characters or archetypes. When one wears these masks, they are inviting the spirits to possess them to relive their story on stage. You've almost certainly seen some of the masks before. Well, since you've watched this far, then you definitely have. Most of the characters in this game wear a mask of some kind. They're heavily inspired by No masks, the most obvious being the Hanya mask worn by the Demon King himself, and the O Beshami mask worn by the priest. The Hanya mask is a female demon, born of a woman twisted by deep jealousy. The O Beshami mask is of a Tengu yokai. It's unlikely the original mask meanings apply directly to the story and are more to convey the general idea of No theatre. It's worth pointing out that the theatre inspiration goes even further, and the cat merchant is even dressed as a Kuroko, stagehands that dressed in all black. Then, what mask does the player wear? When you start the game, you have the Ashigaru armor equipped. The descriptions are basic. Ashigaru armor stamped with the emblem of Clan Takeda. You know what they are, but they're not particularly familiar to you. Notice though that the helmet isn't just a helmet, it's a mask as well. You're not an Ashigaru, you're playing the role of one. The hero's armor is a real set of samurai armor, and much more familiar to you, looking similar to a woodblock painting of a hero you loved as a child. That's not unusual, but the next one is. The final armor set in the game is the formal set, lordly clothes that you think you've worn before. The story of what happened to the castle is clear in some parts and foggy in others. The castle isn't entirely in the real world anymore. Maybe it's half or even fully in hell, but either way, the rules and structure of the place are too similar to the Buddhist hells for it to not be at least partially spiritual. The biggest example of this is when you die. A voice shouts, "Revive! Revive!" and you return to life. Exactly what happens in the Hell of Repetition, which is also the name of the first tower. Nobody has ever escaped the castle after visiting it, like the servant girl, and the soldier whose notes we found. We know that the lord of the castle was likely obsessed by a demon in the shape of a boy who had a desire to take over the castle for himself. Demons did take over the castle at some point, which slowly changed over time by the demon's magic. When the Demon King took it over, or perhaps even before, this castle slipped into the spiritual realm. The heavy supernatural presence, the endless resurrection, and the fact you enter through a Torii gate, which is a gate that marks entrance to spiritual areas, hint at this. It's almost outright said in the researcher's notes that can be found, where he speaks about this realm. The player was supposedly a foot soldier of the Takeda clan who were wiped out, and the castle is owned by a lord who was apparently their enemy, or at least not allied with them. But based on the timeline we examined before, it's unlikely that the player was even a soldier of the Takeda clan at all. So who are we? The player is almost certainly the missing lord of the castle. The main reason being the familiarity with the formal clothing, their relationship with the demon lord, and finally, the chrysanthemum blade, a sword only high-ranking persons could wield. The Demon King likes playing games, so he likely made us dress up as an Ashigaru and believe we were one for his own amusement. With the growth of Buddhism in Japan over the centuries, many yokai were syncretized with Buddhist ideas. The Oni in Japan were closer to mountain bandits, but in Buddhism they were given the role of punishing sinners in the hells. The Demon King plays both of these roles. He's a cruel, wicked, and intelligent character who enforces the punishment of the sinners in his castle. The wooden coin the player starts with is never explicitly explained. We find out that the coins are representative of the burdens of the guardians, meaning that you are the fourth missing guardian. As a side note, I tried to figure out what the symbols and colours on the coins might mean, but there wasn't anything explicit that I could find other than general symbology. If you have any ideas, then please let me know. Why then are the three other wardens monsters? I think it's likely due to your rebellion against the Demon King that let you retain your human form. The prison warden is an Oni, which are born from humans who are particularly cruel sinners, and the Ubume is born from a woman with strong attachments to the world. Or perhaps the Demon King allowed you to retain your form for his amusement, and to punish you better. But there's something interesting that doesn't often show up in the tales about yokai, at least not any mentioned directly in the game. It's the boy trying to take over the castle. That's not unusual in stories about, say, the fox trickster Kitsune, but it's unusual for an Oni to be such a trickster. It's not impossible, of course, especially since the Demon King is clearly intelligent and a trickster himself, and basically every yokai has a story about them shape-shifting to trick humans, with varying levels of malevolence. While this is the simplest explanation, that the boy was the Demon King, and frankly it's the most likely, I'd like to offer another theory. In the first tower, the Tower of Repetition, there is a short poem told to us. A mutilated boy is brought before a king, with the mother blaming a farmer blaming a young lord, and the lord revealing that he paid the mother to help with his affections. The king sentences them all to hang. I don't think this story is meant to be taken literally, that the lord we play as was hanged for potentially mutilating a boy. The morals of Shinto or Buddhism and the laws of the era did not forbid an older man and a young boy from having intimate relationships at this time. The story is obviously connected to the Lord in some manner, as both the Lord in the story and the castle both loved a young boy. But perhaps there is another link here too. There's another character who features gouged out eyes like the boy in the story, the cat merchant. The cat is likely a Nekomata, yokai born of an old abused cat whose tails are split in two and who eat human flesh. Like most yokai, they have the ability to transform their physical forms to trick humans, even being able to change their gender. But there's an interesting variant of the Nekomata called the Kasha. This one shares the twin tails and the desire to eat human flesh, but has an interesting quirk. The Kasha is also a kind of psychopomp, dragging the souls of sinners down to the correct layer of hell, tormenting and feasting on them all the while. The cat merchant is apparently in a relationship with the Kappa blacksmith, and likewise the Kasha and Kappas are linked. The Kappa likely inherited their desire for Shiriko Dharma, a kind of ball containing the person's soul which is located inside the anus, from the Kasha. The Kasha was sometimes confused with the riverside-dwelling Morio, an earlier form of the Kappa, which also liked to feast on innards, and the Kappa eventually inherited the Kasha's love of souls this way. Brief historical lesson aside, I believe the cat merchant is more likely a Kasha than just a Nekomata. The cat's eyes are noticeably gouged out. In fact, it's basically the first thing you see when you start a new game. When you do start the game, you're staring up at the ceiling, and the cat merchant standing over you, ready to turn you into soup. This seems like it might be non-canon, just a little training area, but I think it is canon. For one, there's elements of the theme of being unable to escape the cycle. You're lying dead on the ground. Your sword is by your side and there's a blood spray. You probably tried to commit seppuku, ritual suicide, to escape, but it's not so easy. This greedy cat, with its love of the castle's treasures and eagerness for flesh, could have easily been the boy who corrupted the Lord. Perhaps the Lord found out and turned on it, gouging its eyes out. The Kasha then, unable to continue its feast on the castle, dragged it to hell like it was supposed to, allowing for the Demon King to come and administer his punishments. Well, however the Lord of the castle was corrupted, it's clear that the castle slipped under the demonic influence at some point while he was still living. The Lord of the castle had a weakness, his lust. One yokai or another took advantage of that, and enthralled the man to slowly take his castle. At some point, the Demon King overtook the Lord and made him his subordinate, and used his magic to twist not only the shape of the castle, but also the people inside, turning them into yokai. He began enacting the punishments of hell that are the charge of the Oni, but somehow, the Lord broke free of his magic and was able to fight back, or perhaps he was allowed to fight back for the Demon King's amusement. Now, the Lord is in an endless cycle. He's forced to play the Demon King's game over and over, and if he succumbs to the torments of the castle, he is resurrected and forced to continue. But what happens when he defeats the Demon King? The demon's head rolls into the darkness, then suddenly attacks again. The Lord awakens in a forest, looking up at the sky. The birds are singing. Then they stop. He's not free. He's in the forest outside of the castle, where the game started, doomed to stay in the loop until his karma is exhausted. Depending on who you ask, the amount of time that might take is hundreds, thousands, millions, or even more ludicrous amounts of years. He cannot slay the Demon King. He cannot free himself from this torment. He is destined to be tortured, and beaten and eaten over and over again, dancing on the strings of the Demon King. Once you enter the labyrinth of the Demon King, you cannot ever leave. I'd like to give a very special thank you to Congo, who provided voice acting for the introduction and the Demon King. He streams regularly, so make sure to go check him out at the link in the description, and let him know how much you enjoyed his part in this video. I'd also like to thank the musician behind the music for this game, Remu, who helped me out with understanding some of the tracks. You can find the full soundtrack of the game on YouTube and Bandcamp, so please look at the links below. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider subscribing for more or even becoming a patron. It's the best way to support content like this. You can get access to scripts, teasers, videos before the general public, and, of course, your name in the credits. Thank you especially to those who have already signed up. Their names are on screen now. You've been watching Mythonics, hosted by More They Do, and remember, you're never alone in the dark.